Today we're going to be looking at Overtone in blue for brown hair. Alright, so first thing you might notice is that my swatches are labeled 1 through 12, but that is not synonymous with hair levels. I'll do different video clips and pictures and stuff near the end of the video, so numbers just help us keep track of each swatch color. They are human hair swatches, but the only one that is virgin hair is going to be the number 4 black swatch. The rest have been chemically colored or bleached at some point in their existence. One is pink, kind of wanted to see how well the blue would cover, see if it would maybe turn purple. 2 is gray, 3 is a natural red. Once again, 4 is black. And then we have a range from 4 to 11 that goes to platinum blonde. And then number 12 is like a toned version of number 11. So I'm going to take the color straight from the container and I will apply it to the top of each swatch. Some people do like to dilute their dyes, so I will do a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take color differently. Plus, different screens and monitors and such can make colors look a little different, especially undertones. So please just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you. For the diluted section, we're going to do a 1 to 4 ratio. So that's going to be 1 part of the dye to 4 parts diluter. If you're a little bit confused about what diluter is, I always just give a really simple answer that it's something that lightens the color of a semi-permanent dye. Now usually each brand will sell their own version of a diluter that you can use if that makes you feel more comfortable. But to keep things more fair between my videos, I always just use a plain white conditioner to dilute. Alright, I'm going to let these sit for about 3 hours so that they have enough time to fully absorb the color. I'll then, of course, rinse them out, and when they're dry, I will meet you back here. So this blue does lean very, very cool toned, which I think definitely makes sense because from my experience with filming these videos, I've noticed that blues that are a little bit too warm toned, have a little bit too much green in them, will oftentimes look green on brown hair. So them making this as cool toned as they probably could does make sense considering it's for brown hair. Let's start with number 1. So that one was originally pink. Now I wouldn't say that it turned purple, but the pink underneath did make it look even more cool toned than it did before. If you look at the number 11, you can kind of just see this one almost has a slightly more indigo look. Even on the diluted section, it's not quite purple, but definitely more cool toned than that. Number 2 was originally gray. That one I think is actually pretty similar to the lighter swatches. It's just a little bit darker, which is something I've noticed that cool tones have a habit of doing, is looking a little bit darker because I guess light doesn't reflect off of them as easily as warmer tones. Number 3 was the natural red. I find that in a lot of my videos the 3 ends up looking like it's kind of in the brown family after you dye it. So I'm gonna lump 3, 5, and 6 together because they all had a very similar outcome. The diluted sections probably are different than they were before. I think the number 3 looks the most different from what I remember, but they all still kind of have a brown look to them. Just looks a little bit darker, maybe a little more cool toned than before. There's definitely a difference on the direct dye section as well, but I don't think it's as easy to tell what color it is, at least in this lighting. I think that number 3 looks the most blue compared to 5 and 6. Good thing is that it doesn't turn green from what I can tell on the darker brown swatches, but it does turn incredibly dark. Depending on the lighting, it could either look like a very dark brown with a blue undertone or just a very, very dark blue. It's not until you get to number 7 that you can see more of that blue coming through. And then as the swatches get lighter, the direct dye also gets a little bit more saturated and intense. So do the diluted section as well. The diluted section on 7 and 8 kind of have a little bit more of a green tone. That starts to go away as the hair gets lighter as well. The number 11 is the most saturated and bright looking out of all of these swatches. So I wanted to compare this to the Overtone Extreme Blue, which is their most intense blue right before this. It's not necessarily for brown hair. Normally I'll only show the first few swatches, but because this is technically for brown hair, we'll go all the way to number 5. So this is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, number 9, 8, 7, 6, and number 5. So first thing I noticed with the extreme blue is that it's a little less saturated looking. On the number 11, it's kind of on the dark side, but on the rest of the swatches, it does turn out a little bit lighter, which makes me think it's probably not quite as pigmented. Also, the undertone just looks like it's slightly warmer, just a little bit. You can especially tell on the diluted sections. There's just a touch more green in the extreme blue. Hopefully my camera is picking up on that. I do see a difference on 5 and 6 at the top part, but now I see them compared, I can see a lot more blue coming through on the darker brown. So essentially, I would say that if you have dark brown hair or virgin hair that's not been dyed, the overtone for brown hair is going to probably give you a better result. If you have hair that has been chemically colored before, even if it's maybe like number 8 in depth, you probably would be okay to use either, because the extreme blue is still pigmented. It's just not quite as pigmented as the brown hair version. By the way, somebody is mowing their lawn, so if you do hear that in the background, I apologize. The next comparison I wanted to do was Lunar Tides in the color Blue Velvet. This is comparable to number 12, 11, 10, and number 9. I was having a hard time picking out what I wanted to compare this to because all of my blues just vary in different ways. I would say undertone wise, Good Die Young in the color Blue Ruin is a little bit more similar because the Blue Velvet does seem to lean just a touch more warm. Once again, you can see that especially in the diluted section. But the Blue Ruin was darker. Depending on the angle, the Blue Velvet can look darker too. But the angle that I was picking them out at, they looked very similar on the direct dye portion, so that is why I chose it. I do recall Blue Velvet also being white pigmented, so if you once again have hair that's been chemically colored before, even if it leans a little bit darker, you should still have an okay result with the Blue Velvet as well. It would really just depend on the undertone, what you like. I almost want to say that the overtone is like a cobalt blue, but I don't know if that's the right shade of blue. I will have the videos linked below if you want to watch the full video for this. And also, if you do like the Lunar Tides, Blue Velvet, or any other Lunar Tides product, I do have an affiliate code for 15% off if you use the code Floxy, and thank you if you do use it. But now I'd like to get into the before and after clips. Those, as well as anything you see past this point in the video, will all be done in natural lighting.
I wanna know you on your bad days, baby. I think we're only getting bored. I think we're hanging with the wrong crowd, maybe. I wanna leave you, but I know we won't. What's left to do or to articulate? So I'm on my way to hold you close. If you raise outside, we'll stay indoors with a glass of red. We'll sing in prose. We'll do what it takes to feel at home right here. Feel at home in the dark. Feel at home. So I'm on my way to hold you close. If it rains outside, we'll stay indoors with a glass of red. We'll sing in prose. We'll do what it takes to feel at home in the dark.
I hope my video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do brands that do not test on animals. Thank you so much to my patrons. Thank you if you use my code, and I hope to see you in my next video.